So the question that we will be solving today is, the sum of the first n terms of an arithmetic sequence is 4n squared plus 8n. What is the value of the 10th term in the sequence? To begin solving this question, I believe that we should start from the end. So we know that Tn is equal to a plus n minus 1d. A being the first term, n being the number of terms, and d being the common difference. So right now we don't have very much information. However, we do know that we are trying to solve for the 10th term. So we can plug that in. We know that t at 10 is equal to a plus 10 minus 1 d. So we can further simplify that to become T10 is equal to a plus 9d. This here is the general term for our sequence, and we're going to come back to it. So we know right here that we have two unknowns, a and d. When we have two unknowns, we know that we're going to have to come up with two equations, both with two unknowns. So to make these two equations, we're going to start with our first equation. So we know that the sum of the terms is equal to 4n squared plus 8n. We also know that the sum of n terms is equal to n divided by 2 multiplied by 2a plus n minus 1d. So let's focus on the first equation to the left over here. So we can technically plug in any number into the number of terms, but for this purpose we're going to plug in the number 10. So the sum of 10 is equal to 4 times 10 squared plus 8 times 10. So we can further simplify this to be 400 plus 80. So the sum of the first n terms is going to be equal to 480. So now if we look to the right and focus on this second equation, we know that the sum of the 10 terms is equal to 10 divided by 2 multiplied by 2a plus 10 minus 1 multiplied by d. So again, we can further simplify this to 5 multiplied by 2a plus 9d. So we're then going to use distributive property, bring the 5 to both terms inside the bracket, and we get 10a plus 45d. So now we have two equations, and what we're going to do is we're going to set them equal to each other. So the sum of 10 is equal to the sum of 10. So 480 is equal to 10a plus 45d. This here is going to be our equation number 1. Now, to make our second equation, we are going to follow the same steps. So for equation number 2, we know again that the sum of the nth terms is equal to 4n squared plus 8n. We also know that the sum of the n terms is equal to n divided by 2 multiplied by 2a plus n minus 1d. So let's focus here on the equation on the left. So we're going to plug in the number of terms as 2. So the sum of 2 is equal to 4 times 2 squared plus 8 times 2. We can further simplify this to get 16 plus 16. Again, simplify it one more time to be 32. So if we focus over here on the right, we know that the sum of 2 is equal to 2 divided by 2, 2a plus 2 minus 1d. So 2 divided by 2 right here at the front is going to become 1, so we can just simply eliminate that. And we also know that the 2 minus 1 over here is going to become 1, so we can also remove that. So we know that the sum of 2 is equal to 2a plus d. So just like we did when forming our first equation, we're going to set the two equal to each other. So the sum of 2 is going to be equal to the sum of 2 which is equal to 32 equals 2a plus d. So this here is going to be our equation number 2. So now that we have two equations, let's write them out right here. So equation number 1, let's go back up and look at this, is 480 is equal to 10a plus 45. So 480 is equal to 10a plus 45d. And we know that our second equation is 32 is equal to 2a plus d. So with these two equations, both with two unknowns, what we're going to do is we're going to use elimination. So we need to multiply the second equation by 5. So 160 is equal to 10a plus 5d. If you need a refresher on how to do elimination, there will be a link in the description box below. So we can now write this equation number 1 again. 480 is equal to 10a plus 45d. So as you can see, both a values have the same coefficient, which is 10. So when we subtract them, it will be 0, so the a value is going to be eliminated. So if we subtract these two equations, we get 320 is equal to 40d. So now we're going to divide both sides by 40 to isolate d, and we get 8 is equal to d. We can now plug this value into one of our equations, so we'll plug it into equation number 1. So 480 is equal to 10a plus 45 times the d value, which we now know is 8. So 480 is equal to 10a plus 360. So we subtract 360 from both sides, and we get 120 is equal to 10a. We are then going to divide both sides by 10, and we get 12 is equal to a. So now we know both our d and a value. So what we can do is we can return back to that first equation that we were focusing on, which was t at 10 is equal to a plus 9d. Since we now know our a and d values, we can simply plug them in. T at 10 is equal to 12 plus 9 times 8. So we know that t at 10 is equal to 12 plus 72. We can further simplify that to get t at 10 is equal to 84. So now we have now solved for the 10th term is 84. So therefore, the value of the 10th term is 84.